in this old age used to do things that we with all of our physical strength at our young age are not able to do, will sit for hours over there without a single movement. For hours he will be sitting there. His head down, he's sitting. What is he doing? Only he knows and his God knows. But we know only one thing, that he is having that connection over there from inside. What is beyond that, we don't know. One day while he's sitting, all of a sudden he calls one of his students. He says, "Come quick." He's afraid. What happened? He says, "Turn my toe, turn my toe." He is not able to turn his own toe. He doesn't have that strength in that old age. He can't move himself. "Turn my toe." What happened, Hazrat? So he turns his toe quickly. What happened? As I'm sitting, my toe slipped and it started facing the Rawdah, and I don't want my toe to be facing the Rawdah. It's disrespect for me, for my toe to be facing that direction. There is so much. And those ayahs that we talked about, really I didn't even get a chance to go to just even one of those. This is only introduction to those ayahs. And the time, as I see, is chasing us too fast. So let me just make a last point here of how we benefit from the silsila of Shaykh rahmatullahi alayh, and get those blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that were showering on that great man. Shaykh al-Hadith rahmatullahi alayh, he used to say, and especially at the end of his life, you look at his letters that he wrote to his students, and especially to those of his students that are running institutes or institutions or Darul Ulooms, he used to write them, "My dear, the source of all the fitna these days is the ghafla, is forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and protection against all of these fitnas is to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." He used to say, with so much life that I spent doing all of this work and teaching hadith, he taught hadith more than Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi taught his book himself. He spent more years teaching Bukhari than Imam Bukhari himself. He says, "Throughout this life I have learned one lesson." Subhanallah, if such a great man would tell us that word, it is something that he's giving us the gist of all of the whole life. He says, "Throughout my life I learned one thing, and that thing is that the protection against all fitnas is the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." If you do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's still, even in this day and age, Allah will protect you against the fitnas. There is a hadith that is forcing me to say something about it. But here I'm talking about the dhikr. Let me go to the hadith and come back, which is also attached to this topic. He was explaining the ahadith, as he's talking about the ahadith being Shaykh al-Hadith. He says there is a hadith that says, "Al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba." Every person on the day of judgment will be with those that he loves. This hadith, let me tell you a quick background of this hadith. Once a villager came to Medina Munawwara. Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in were very happy to see that villager, and they said to him, "We need to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi a question, but we are afraid to ask that question." "What is the question?" "I'll ask. Don't worry about it." "Okay, please do us this favor, ask him this question." "What is the question?" "The question is, ask him, al-mar'u yuhibbu al-qawm wa lamma yalhaq bihim." Sometime you love someone, but you cannot be in akhirah with that person because that person is so great and you are much below that person according to your deeds, so you can never make it with him in Jannah. But you love to be with that person. So he went and asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya Rasulullah, I have a question. What's the question? He says, Al-mar'u yuhibbul qawm walamma yalhaq bihim. Sometime you love a person, you cannot be with them in the akhirah. So what will be the situation and the position of that man, Ya Rasulullah? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's reply was, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba. Every person will be with those whom he loves in this world. Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in say, that was the happiest day of our life because we love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the most. Explaining this hadith, Shaykh al-Hadith rahmatullahi alayhi said, that when we do the work of deen, you will be able to do the work only in one way, in one field. Because of our abilities, we are very limited. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did the work in all different fields of life. But for us, we are very limited. Our abilities are limited. So we are able to do the work only in one or two fields maximum. So Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi explaining this hadith, he used to say that do one work and put all of your efforts doing one work and love all the great people who are doing the other work. So inshallah in akhirah you will be with all of those people. They have done all of that great work and you tried your best in one field, but you could not do the other ones because you're busy in this one. So love all the other people. In akhirah you will be with all of those people who are getting all of that reward. MashaAllah. It's a promise from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Al-mar'u ma'a man ahab. You will be with those whom you love. What a great explanation of the hadith. What a depth understanding of a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There is so much more. But let me come back just to that ending point that hopefully we will remember, and this is why I put it towards the end. Whenever Shaykh al-Hadith rahmatullahi alayhi was invited anywhere, he used to have this restriction. I will come in this old age. You know, when he came to this part of the world, that was the last Ramadan of his life, in his 80s. A person who cannot sit for a few minutes just to do the salah, he's willing to take that trip of thousands of miles from Medina Munawwara all the way to here. From here he wants to go to Reunion. He wants to go to England. So many times during that journey, he got so sick that people lost hope in his life. He called Mufti Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi. Mufti Sahib, please tell me, what if I would die over here? Mufti Sahib says, don't worry about it. The one who sent you, he will bring you back too. You didn't come by yourself. You got the permission from there. He sent you over here. He will invite you back. Don't worry, you will get back there. He knows too, but he wants to hear that word because it reminds him of his loved one, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sometimes you know something, but you talk to people about that person just because you like to hear more and more about this person. That was the situation. But whenever he travels, he says, I would travel. All the students are telling him, Shaykh, please, you cannot go. Your situation does not allow you to go. Your health situation is very critical. He says, no, I must go. Who knows, some people will remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this journey. And this is why he's putting that restriction. If you want me to come, promise me that you will establish majalis of zikr in your town, in your place. I will come over there. This is what we need to do. Because he knows this is the protection against the fitnas. This is the way of connecting ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the majalis of zikr. So therefore he used to have this restriction. And wherever people promise that insha'Allah we will establish the majalis of zikr, then Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi would go there. Today we need to get those anwarat of that Qutb al-Aqtab, of that Shaykh al-Hadith, of this great man. And we need to establish that connection. He connected himself to those things, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, through his elders, through his teachers, through his mashayikh. We can connect ourselves also in the same manner that he established and that he taught us. And those are through our mashayikh. We start doing these majalis of dhikr. We start establishing these majalis. We start remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everywhere we hear the word Allah, Allah. You know how much barakah there is in this Allah, Allah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sitting with the group of Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in.